Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We are so excited to teach you this class today. It's all about people, passion, and personal buckets on your business and personal brands. So we're just going to get started. Share my screen. All right, let me present this so that all the bells and whistles show up. And let's talk about this. So one of the previous classes in the recent, past that we did was all about your work and value buckets. And this class is going to be all about the people side of your brands. So let's get started. Whether you're a personal brand or a business brand, each types of brands have buckets that they pull their information from. So if you need more information on that, we do teach a class called Content Buckets and Mind Maps. And this whole class is kind of based on a certain portion of that class, and it's a deeper dive. But definitely check that out. But when you are sharing online, you are pulling that information from certain vats of information, and that repeats itself over and over again. The difference between business and personal brands. I'm going to let Angela take over this because she's really good at explaining it.
Oh, okay. Business and personal. So your business is more of a brand where maybe you've given it a separate name that doesn't have whether it has your name in it or not. Maybe it's its own entity. Think about, oh, did I have to do an LLC for this business? Or do I have a team of people that work in this business? Do I have employees? Even if you don't, is it something separate that you could sell the business, walk away from the business, and the business could continue? Then that's probably a business brand. A personal brand is when you are the brand also. So here's my profile as an example. I am also a Parkland jewelry stylist. And so that's not the only thing that's on my personal brand, but it's part of what I do there. It's part of who I am. I am the stylist. So if you're like a realtor, a hairstylist, a photographer, and you don't have a separate business name, but you do something as a business, you might be more of a personal brand. It's really a choice. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Business brands have three buckets of information. They have the work, like what they do, the value, their expertise around that brand or that industry, and what they can provide as far as tips and tricks and experience and know-how and insight, what they can provide their clients through their social media that is valuable to them. And then, of course, they have their people, their team. So those three buckets. Personal brands have four buckets. They have, again, work, what they do, what it is, how you can work with them. Value, again, the expertise, it's the same as the business, but where it gets different are the last two buckets, personal and passion. So a personal brand, you're sharing you're sharing your family, your background, all of those things, and something that you're passionate about. So there's an extra bucket on that one. And
if you've watched us before and you've heard us talk about three buckets in personal, we had value as one of the work mini buckets, one of the segments. We've brought that back up. So, now you have work and value, personal and passion. So we were like, let's just make it a 4-bucket brand. So it's not really different, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah, because personal and passion, yeah, exactly. So for this class, like we were saying, we're just going to focus in on that people, that personal, that passion, the people side of your brand, the work and value. We already talked about that. This is all about humanizing your brand. So, in the past, when we have done these little study halls with clients where we do a social audit and we do a deep dive into their feed and just kind of tell them what they're doing right, what's great, what could be improved upon, we tend to find that they're missing sometimes their personal side, or sometimes they're missing the work side and they're all personal, but either way, they're missing a bucket. And it's very clear once you're looking at it, which bucket they're missing. And when we tell them to get personal on their business brand or their personal brand, their business page, they tend to have a little bit of a pushback because they think that business should be all business and there's no room for any personal connection on a business brand. And I think that comes from an old mindset of this whole marketing, and radio commercials and junk mail and things like that. I don't know where that comes from, but somehow, some way, someone has told people that you can't humanize a business, period. You can't humanize your business.
Yeah. And I think a lot of what it stems from is too that people are just very shy about they're private and they don't really want to share a lot of personal information
Mhm.
on social media, period. And maybe, especially if it's a business, they're afraid that maybe they just don't want to. Maybe it's not even a fear that it will be a right fit. They're just worried that they just don't want to show that side of them. But we want to show you that you can add a personal element. You don't have to share your deepest fears or what worries you or anything private you don't want to share. You don't have to. We're not saying that at all.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is teach you some ways where you can show your personality and allow people in a little bit to have that connection with you. Being vulnerable is great, but you can also be vulnerable without being, a train wreck.
A train wreck or obnoxious.
Yes,
or
without sharing too
unprofessional.
much.
Yes.
Yes, it can be done. Trust me. And we're not encouraging you to do the former.
Right. I have no problem being a train wreck sometimes, but yeah, you're completely spot on with all that. Just because you're humanizing your brain, you're not erasing the professionalism, and it's not like people will stop taking you seriously because you shared something that revealed that there's a person behind the computer screen. People want to do business with people. And I think something else that we want to accomplish through this class is not only show you that you can be personal, but prove to you that you will want to be personal, because it's going to greatly increase your return on investment of time when you get personal on through your social media accounts, because people don't build relationships. They need to realize that social media is like a soft handshake. It's like a networking meeting. You don't just go in there and throw your business card and walk away. You're like, hey, can I sit here? Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm late. The 405 was crazy, or whatever. There's not even, that highway doesn't exist, but you know what I'm saying. All right, business brands. People bucket is filled with information that reveals the people behind your brand or your company. Business, obviously, the main guy, whoever owns it, or the main girl, or whatever, whatever business it is. You're not going to just sit there and talk about yourself, because that would be awkward and weird, because you really want to talk about your employees that all your clients are doing business with. The person that answers the phone, the person who makes the house calls, the person that ships your stuff, whatever. You want to reveal the people behind the brand. You want to highlight your employees. Doing this is going to serve multiple purposes. You're going to highlight your employees, and then that makes your employees feel valued. But something I didn't put on this bullet list here is when other people see you gloating on else, it makes you look like a really good person. And I'm not saying that you aren't, but it gives the opportunity to showcase that you are a good boss and you care about your employees, and you want other people to know who these people are, because they are who run your company for you. So highlighting them, it makes the employees feel valued, and it makes your followers see that you value your clients. And that is a really great character trait to have. And it helps you build relationships with future and existing clients, because now, if I go to some sort of like a plumbing company and I see the guy, and he's like 24-year-old, he just got his master plumber's license or whatever, it makes me like, oh, I relate to that, because my son's 22. And so I would want to give that kid a chance. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll call this company. I'd be fine with that guy in my house. So that's the relationship that it builds. And then it, of course, humanizes the brand. Are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. So let me move our little pictures over here. Let these prompts guide the information. So when you go to share about your people, you want to talk about their expertise. So let's say you have a company and you have Betty who answers the phone, and she's been in your office for 26 years. You have so-and-so who does, all your invoicing or whatever, whatever it is. You want to really highlight each person's role within the company, and without them, y'all would be a really you'd be a crap creek without a paddle or whatever, right? Expertise. Tell who they are, maybe even a little personal side of them. So and so's off for the week, guys, so bear with me if I'm not answering the phone. She's got a college kid going off to college. You can share the personal stuff of your people to a certain extent. Again, you're just humanizing the brand. You don't want that line is a fine line, and you can cross it however you want to, but the people, it's okay to share a little of the personal side of those people.
I think it's fun to do like a little competition where, like during football season, you could have everyone wear their favorite football team and talk about, oh, she's team Cowboys, he's team, Chargers, whatever. Like have this, fun competition. Or what's your favorite sport? I'm a golf mom, I'm a baseball mom, I'm a football, mom, whatever. Like have these fun competitions, or coffee or tea, talk about people and what they love. Or are you a mountain or a beach? And sort of have these little exposés on people to go, she's a beach lover, she's a
mountain girl.
Mountain lover. Yeah, those kinds of things are fun, and you get to know people without revealing any private information.
Yeah. We're not talking about their political or religious, nothing
Right.
weird or nothing.
Right, please.
Nothing that's controversial. I mean,
Yes.
Cowboys, kind of controversial, but
anyway,
right. Yeah, some people behind the scenes. So you think about that person in their role, and how can you show them in their role behind the scenes when you go to talk about them? And then, of course, their background, where they came from, their college, how long they've been doing it, whatever. So you just need to think about those things. So an example, we have a business brand, Angeline. I am Angeline's employee. She gives me marching orders, and I love it. I like to think of myself as Angeline's employee. And I like that because I don't always like to think of everything. I'm just like, can you just tell me what to do? So anyways, so our people, if we're going to discuss it, it's going to be her and me. So Brooklyn is a wife and mom of 3, something we could share about me. Angeline is a girl mom and an empty nester. Behind the scenes, we should go down here to the left. So my role in the company is I tend to do the classes and the teaching. We both do coaching. Angeline does a lot of the done for you social media marketing and the strategy behind that, and email marketing. We both do a lot of other hats, but my bubble was small. Top right. So a behind the scenes to show me in my expertise or my role within our business would be me teaching, a video of me teaching. And we've shared lots of those. And we've also shared this video of Angeline at networking meetings. She is the queen of meeting new people and just winning them over. And they are just now our friends. And so some pictures of her meeting with clients, or B-roll of her working at her desk, or maybe her making a list. She loves lists. Bottom right, Brooklyn, this is my background, 10 years just being an entrepreneur, self-taught social media expert. Angeline, though, I like to say, is classically trained. She has over 20 years building brands for major corporations, and again, the bubble's too small, but those are our examples. Now, what I want you to do is, if you have a business brand, I want you to push pause on this video right now and ask yourself the 4 questions. Who's on your team? What is their expertise? what's their background, and what would be a great behind the scenes shot that would capture their role within your company. And just create a little bubble chart. You can go out further than this. But think about that, and then really start incorporating that into your strategy with what you post online. Okay, personal brands. That's all about business brands. Now we're going to talk about the buckets for personal brands. Personal brands have a personal bucket, and it's filled with information that reveals who you are, the person behind the personal brand, like your family and your background. It highlights who you are, it makes you relatable, it builds relationships with future and existing clients, and again, humanizes your brand. So it serves multiple purposes. However, well, we'll talk about that later. But there's a slide. These are the prompts that kind of get you thinking. Day-to-day life, things that you do in your day-to-day life, your background, where you went to college, where you grew up, those kinds of things, your family right now, and just who you are. Maybe, if you want to talk about your age, just all of that. So personal. Here's an example, and I just used Angeline for this example. Who she is, Angeline, she's a girl mom and an empty nester. That's where she's at just, right now. Her family down here in the bottom left, Morgan is her daughter. She's a collegiate golfer on a full ride to Howard University, an ESPN star. She's also a dog mom, and this little dog's name is Bailey, and she's about this big. And she's controlling, and she's a little high maintenance multi-poo that loves attention and rubs. And if you don't give her that, she's just going to yip at you until you do. So you might as well just give in. The top is networking. So this is how we could showcase, or how she could showcase herself and her personal brand. Networking, getting ready for work. We joke around. I usually look like a homeless troll. She's always ready. Like if a client walked in right now, she'd be ready for them. I would be mortified. She spends time with friends because she does a lot of our networking. And she'll go out and, spend that time networking with people, and she's got friends all over. So that would be a great picture for her. And flying to see Morgan and watching all of Morgan's golf. Now in the bottom right, her background, again, we've already said this in our other, but Angeline's got 20 years building brands for major corporations. She worked for the Four Seasons. She had her own consulting company. Now, I just realized that I think that's fine, but your personal brand isn't about Next Chapter Social. So you might want to have more background things that have to do with Angeline's style, your personal brand.
True.
So what would you put there for that? How many years you've been with?
14 years in direct sales. I grew up, my dad was an executive for direct sales his entire life. So I kind of grew up in the back of the room watching my dad on stage at conventions, handing out all these awards. And that's kind of what got me interested in that whole career path. So yeah, I do have a background, that I could share. And my mom was in the jewelry business her entire career. So it kind of was a natural fit. That's sort of how I landed in the jewelry space.
Yeah, and you're very familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can see how the background she would share would be more tailored towards her personal brand. I copied over this stuff from before, but that really doesn't fit, and that's not really what she would talk about. So it's kind of a good mistake to show you that. So pause for a second and ask yourself these 4 questions. If you're a personal brand, who are you? Don't get too philosophical with that. She's a girl mom and an empty nester right now. You could be on a weight loss journey, me, and perpetually dealing with body hair. I don't know. Whatever makes you. I was just talking about that today, so I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But whatever makes you.
Be a California transplant living in Texas, who are you? Just think about, like, if you were, think about writing your Instagram profile. That simple. What are your bullet points,
Yeah. Enneagram 8, OCD, what you could infuse a little bit of that, because that's always funny. So who you are, your family members, and things you would like to share about them. Again, for the people who are introverted and like, I don't want to share any of that, a little goes a long way. Just dip your toe. And what's your background, and make sure, of course, that it's a little bit tied to what you're doing. And what would showcase your life in a day-to-day basis. And that right there, I think, is one of the most important questions, because on a personal brand, I don't have my cell phone with me, but you want to capture B-roll of you doing the things that you do the most. I'm always at a baseball game. I'm always at swim meets. I'm always, whatever. So whatever would showcase you in your day-to-day basis, start thinking about that and start gathering B-roll into your camera that you can use to talk about the personal side of you, and not just always what you sell or what services you provide. So personal brands also have that fourth bucket, the passion bucket, and it's filled with information that reveals something that you love doing. I like to say it's whatever you would be doing if you didn't have to do these things. That's what you would be doing. For me, that's treasure hunting. I would be at a flea market somewhere in the world, or a garage sale or something like that. It makes you multidimensional. You're not just a one-trick pony and I sell this and that's all I do, and I'm hyper focused and a little obsessive compulsive about it. You want to, when you share something like your passion, it makes you more well-rounded. And I say this about a lot of different things, but by dedicating a social media post to something else that you're not even selling, it makes the perception of you that you're not desperate to sell.
Yes.
You have the room in your feed to share something fun and to build that connection, and that you value that, that you're not all just work, you have play too. And you're not, so that desperation doesn't come across. If you're all sales, and it's all the business and nothing personal, then it tends to be too much. So it gives that a break. It creates connection and interest. It helps you find a tribe. So on the next couple of slides, you'll see that I have a Volkswagen bus. Well, I mean, every time I hashtag Volkswagen bus, I have a bunch of people that have nothing to do with my bungalow that have found me because of that bus. So that's what I mean. I have a whole VW tribe around my brand, and it humanizes the brand and allows you to expound on a different expertise. Passion, again, it's about what it is. What is your passion? Stories about that passion or behind the scenes related to it, how you can share value related to that passion. So anything they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or they might want to share or engage with that post. And then, like, where did your passion start? Why did you start loving this? How long have you loved it? When did it start? So for me, I love collecting vintage old stuff. And it stems from when I was little, we didn't have a lot of money. So we spent what money we had at fun things like garage sales, because things were like 10 cents. And I would find little treasures and I would save them all. And I'd spend hours just, creating little setups in my room. And that's what I do now. And I'm 40 something, so that's where it stemmed from. And it actually stemmed from a place of lack and not wanting things to be wasted. I felt like everything had a personality and a life, and I needed to save him from going to the trash or whatever it was. It was a him or a her. So behind the scenes now would be my junk hauls, the things where I'm like, 50 cents, that kind of thing. And then my value is this, and this, I stand behind this. The best garage sale area in the Dallas area is the M Street neighborhood of Dallas, because the people there that are having the estate sales and garage sales, they're really old. So they have old stuff. Their kids are rich because they're rich, and they don't care about mom and dad's old stuff. They just want to get rid of all that old junk, and they sell it cheap. So I'm right there to just, scoop it up. So push pause for the third and last time and ask yourself these 4 questions. What would you be doing if you didn't have to do anything else? Where did it all start? What expertise can you share about that passion? And what would a behind the scenes look like for this passion? What are some stories that you could tell? Again, build that bubble chart out. And that's what you need to be sharing on your feed. Okay. We're going to give you a few examples, not a lot, but I think that this is all about personal. So you can think you already have a good idea of what you would share. For a business brand, again, you want to share the people. There's our business account. And again, we've talked about her and she's dog mom. I'm a cat, team cat, Enneagram 8. She's an Enneagram 3, team golf, baseball mom, golf mom. So we have all these things. We both have college age kids, and we share those things, the people behind our brand. Personal brand. This is my personal brand. And like I said, I have a Volkswagen bus, and here's a bunch of my little treasures I saved, all of those little hymns and hers. And so I share that. I'm not selling those things, but it humanizes my brand. And then again, you can kind of see here, I have another Volkswagen bus there. So what we want you to notice in the end, that the people-y posts do not diminish the professionalism of your brand. They build a deeper connection with your followers, and your brand that turns those followers into friends and builds a relationship. And building relationships is the best thing that you can do for your business. Businesses need solid relationships to have that foundation of referrals and repeat customers and things like that. Showcasing the people behind your brand, again, humanizes the company and makes it easier for people to want to support your business, because now they're not just supporting a logo, they're supporting a person, families, a team, or the person. Business and personal brands, sharing personal people and passion, create an opportunity to use an entire new set of hashtags. So hashtags are about categorizing you and showing you to accounts that are looking for that kind of content. So by sharing the personal passion and people, you're not just using hashtags related to whatever you do for work. Now you're using hashtags that might be hashtag VW bus lover, right? And so that, or golf mom or whatever. And so all of a sudden your brand and business is being found for a whole different set of reasons. So it helps you build relationships with people beyond the people that are just looking for whatever service or product you offer. Right. So obviously it increases your visibility, and it facilitates engagement. When I post about all the little crap over there on my shelf or my bus, I get lots of people, oh, I love that bus, or I've got a bus, or my mama drove that bus when we were, in the 70s or whatever. People always have something to say on personal posts. And it creates a connection that converts those followers into paying customers. Okay. Right. And the last slide is, are you missing the human side of your brand? And if you are, you know what to do now. So,
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. All right. On that note, we're done.